Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Seriously, guys, OZPIN did nothing wrong. Wow, that went that went a little fuzzy. I'll fix that. But anyways, welcome to my RWBY Volume 6 Episode 4 reaction. So yeah, as you know, I pre-record these, so it is currently Monday where I'm at, but you're seeing this on Saturday. So yeah, we are here with another episode, and yeah, I don't really think that OZPIN's story is quite over, or Salem's for that matter. Obviously, Salem looks different than even where we left off with her in that story. Because she has the, like, diamond thing on her head. She has the veins going up to her eyes, on her cheeks. So, there's definitely more to that about what happened to her after she killed Ozma's second body, basically. But yeah, it's just like... Also, I wrote this on an envelope because I didn't have any paper around me. But yeah. I definitely think there's more to the stories that we haven't quite found out yet. I don't know if Jin's story with this is over, but there's definitely more overall. There's just a lot more info. Now, I was informed on a couple of things. The main one being that it was said in the story that Oz and Salem still had magic, and I think I was talking over that part or just missed it somehow. But yeah, it definitely says in there that those two are the only ones who still had magic at that point, when he was going to find her after hearing the stories about the witch. Yeah, and it's kind of explainable how they both have it, too. Presumably, Oz was given his magic by the God of Light when he was brought back onto the Earth. And Salem probably got her magic back when she took the dip into the pools of Grimm. So, that's how they have their magic. And then, as we know, OZPIN granted magic to the 4 maidens at some point, who I don't think are actually his daughters. I don't think they were supposed to be the maidens. I think that they were just colored that way, and maybe that they're kind of like heralding that kind of thing, or like kind of like what's it called? A foreshadowing of the maidens. I don't know. It just seems weird though, because the four daughters, they're colored in the ways with their dresses and all that make you think of the maidens. I don't know, and they have magic. I don't know. I feel like there's more about that we still have to find out either way. And then there's just a lot of other questions that we don't fully have answered yet. But yeah, it's like one of the big things right now is why was OZPIN so determined on hiding this? He did nothing wrong. I mean, the worst thing that Oz did in the entirety of that memory, oh well, those memories, I guess, the worst thing that he did was side with Salem when he first came back to the Earth. He sided with her and they became basically the gods of the new world. But at least from what we saw, they weren't actually doing much wrong. They were actually doing some pretty cool things, like protecting people from the Grimm. I mean, that's not a bad thing. And heck, I could actually believe that could be what inspired Oz to create the academies. But it's like the bad stuff came like when she basically, Salem, wanted to control the world. And he kind of went along with it at first, but he did come to his senses. And then someone mentioned in the comments, like, oh, he shouldn't have tried to take their children with him when he was leaving. That was bound to just make things bad. And yes, that was definitely not going to go over well with Salem. And you could effectively say that because of that, his children died. And it's made pretty clear through imagery that they were dead. Um, but at the same time, it's like he was trying to protect them from Salem. He was trying to get them out of there because he knew Salem was dangerous at that point. He it wasn't the smartest move, it wasn't the safest move, but it was the right move in that circumstance. I think the only reason I can think of that Oz would have been so determined to hide this is not wanting to remember it himself, not wanting to admit to it, to admit to what Salem it was and even probably still is to him. Because in a way, he might blame himself. Because, I don't know, in some messed up way, he might think it's his fault for getting sick in the first place that caused all of this. I mean, even though it's obviously not, there are people who will think like that. In the end, though, OZPIN, he's not a bad guy. In these circumstances, at least, he didn't do anything bad or wrong. He's the victim. Salem was the one who did all the wrong. Salem was the one who became corrupted by her selfishness and arrogance. This was on her. She became corrupted by her hatred for the gods. It wasn't OZPIN's fault. So I'm interested to see what he has to say about this. Now, as I said, I don't know if this story, if Jin's story is over. I don't know if we're going to have any more at the beginning of this episode. I kind of hope so. I kind of hope there's a little more. Because it ended off with just like one of Oz's former lives asking Jin, like, how do I stop Salem? And she's like, you can't. Also, some people are theorizing that maybe because of how that was worded, it just means OZPIN himself can't stop her. But I still think I still think it's that no one can stop her. Like, no one could kill her, destroy her, or anything like that. I think it's more along those lines because just like that's not what the goal is here. I feel like I think the goal should be trying to redeem her, and not just because I like villain redemptions, but I think that she's not all evil. She's not like this big, great, ultimate evil like we thought she was. She's human. Like, even though she's an immortal human with horrifying powers, she is technically still human. And she's just been corrupted. Years and years of hatred for Oz. Years and years of hatred for the gods. Blinded by arrogance. Blinded by so many negative emotions. That doesn't mean she's beyond redemption, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like villains who remain villains. And I think we're going to get that with Adam still. I think we'll definitely get backstory with Adam, but I don't think he'll be redeemed. And I think that we're going to get that with some other villains, like maybe Cinder. But I think maybe Salem has that possibility, and I think that's the only way they're going to save the world at this point. I don't think they can do it without redeeming her. Because she literally is immortal. She can't be killed. She doesn't age. Like, I doubt they'd ever be able to trap or cage her. So it's like, there's like no other option. So, yeah, it's just, there is a lot to think about, and there's a lot we still don't know. We did find out what happened to the moon. Finally, that's something that people have been wondering about since the very beginning of the show. But we finally found that out. We found out a lot of big info. But there's still more to find out. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what else this show has in store for us. So, we're going to get on with it. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so it seems like the episodes of the season, at least for these first 4, are going longer, shorter, longer, and now shorter again. Because this episode was only like 13 minutes long, compared to last week's, which was double that length. So, with this episode, we just basically have the aftermath of last week's massive lore drop. Everybody's pissed off at OZPIN, and basically it causes him to retreat into Oscar's mind, closing himself off completely. And I think this is relevant right now. Yeah. I'm sorry, but OZPIN is not the bad guy here. And it's a little irritating that they're treating him like that. Don't get me wrong. He should have told them this. This is massive information. This is extremely important, especially the fact that Salem can't be killed. And that he has not actually had a plan this entire time. Massively important information that he needed to tell them. And the fact that he didn't, the fact that he did betray their trust like that, they have a right to be angry. But, and I hope that they come to this realization after just letting their tempers calm down, he's the victim here too. This is a man who was forced back to life, killed again, forced back again, killed again, and then brought back again eternally to accomplish a single mission. All because of a woman he loved going evil, going bad, giving in to her negative emotions and feelings. It was all her. It was all on Salem. She's the bad guy here, not OZPIN. And again, he should have told them all this, but he's not. They're treating him as if he's still the one to blame, as if it's his fault that all of this happened. And I don't know, I think they're just upset. And Crow, like, geez, like the entire thing about him feeling like he didn't belong and feeling like Oz gave him purpose and feeling betrayed because of this now, like, that was heavy. And that punch was full of so much sorrow. But they have to realize it. They're still treating him like he's the bad guy, and that bothers me. They just... I really hope after some good night's sleep and after just well, not relaxing necessarily, but resting, that they'll come to terms with that entire huge lore drop and come to realize that Oz is not a bad guy and that he's not the enemy in this and that they need him. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't. But that's why he needs them, and that's why they need him. The Team RWBY and them alone can't do anything on their own. But Oz on his own can't do anything either. They need each other. But let's go on to the villain side of things, because we got to catch up with them now. Which, this is a good point to do so. The first point of the season, we catch up with our villains, outside of Adam. And, we learned a couple big things. One, Cinder has been cast out. Just completely. She is being viewed as the reason they failed. Although it's not completely true. It was definitely more than, or just, Cinder. Did I say Salem? Cinder has been cast out. She's being viewed as the one, the reason they failed. Although it's definitely not just completely on her. It isn't. We also found out that the sword relic, we know that what the 4 relics are now. We obviously know the lamp, but we also know there's a sword, a scepter, and a crown. So we know the sword is in Vacuo. So what's an Atlas? I'm probably thinking the scepter. It might be the crown, though. It could be. It's hard to say. I guess we'll maybe find out in the future. But yeah. So we found that out as well. And we saw the reaction from Salem to the fact that Oz is leading their enemy, basically. The good guys. So I don't know if she did think that Oz was dead. I mean, we saw before that Cinder told Salem Oz was dead, and Salem seemed to want to make sure of it, but I guess she did believe her then? I don't know. I mean, I would think Salem knows. I would think about OZPIN's powers and all, right? About his... I mean, actually, no, we know she knows, because he told her. So she knows that he keeps coming back. I guess maybe she just didn't expect it this soon. And I guess she's just upset because he just keeps basically being a cog in her side and everything, and she hates she hates him now. I still think there's room for redemption, though. I still think Salem has that opportunity to be redeemed. And I still, again, there's no other way to stop her. You cannot kill her. And you can't subdue her. There's no way that's going to work. Not with her magic. So it's like the only way to stop her would be to redeem her. I don't know if that's going to happen, though. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to end. For all we know, the RWBY, the RWBY, they might pull a really dark ending on us and have it so that the gods are brought back with the relics and destroy the earth completely. Destroy Remnant. For all we know, that could be what happens. And we have no reason to think otherwise at this point. We have no reason to think that our heroes will be victorious. That's the unfortunate truth. At this point, they don't stand a chance. So I have no idea where this is going to go. So they know, though, the bad guys now know that our villains are headed, or that our heroes, rather, are headed to Atlas. So maybe it was Hazel who asked Little Miss Malachite, because that could have still happened in the future. Because, again, them getting on the train and everything was 2 weeks after the events of the end of the last volume. But the Salem thing that we saw was 2 months later, right? So that's a bit of a skip, if I'm remembering right. Which means that, from what Little Miss Malachite said, someone had asked about Team RWBY and all them, and Team Juniper as well, a week before Salem got there. And it was a big guy who was looking for them, according to Malachite's, I don't want to say minion, associate, let's just say. So it could have been Hazel. It's just, I really don't know where this is going to go. I wonder how long OZPIN's going to be locked out as well. That's kind of big, a big thing. But then there was the part that I also want to mention. Oscar's fears about all of this, about just becoming another body for OZPIN. Now, he already knew about the entire resurrection thing. So he already knew that he and OZPIN were going to, like, become one. But it's like, now he's afraid that he's basically pointless. That this is not going to actually lead anywhere, especially because OZPIN doesn't have any semblance of a, pun not intended, any semblance of a clue what he's doing. He has no plan. And that's what's most worrying of all. They were just doing stuff. They didn't actually have any plans. The thing is, it seemed OZPIN was trying to get them to collect the relics at this point. Which means he probably wanted to call upon the gods and destroy the world. I think OZPIN just wanted all of this to end. I think he wanted the world to be destroyed. Until I'm proven wrong, I think that's my big theory. Everything kind of fits with that. Why else would he have them collecting the relics? If the relics are all brought together, it summons the gods again. And they judge the world. And if the world is not in harmony, they'll destroy it all. And the world's definitely not in harmony. So it's like collecting the relics at this point is dooming the world. That's a big thing to note as well. Like I said, OZPIN was in the right in this backstory. He was in the right the entire time there. It was all Salem who was bad. The bad things he did were minuscule, let's be honest. The worst thing he did was keeping this a secret. He should have told them, but otherwise he didn't do anything wrong. Now, the entire thing with him, if this is true, we don't know this is true, so I can't count this against him yet. It's just a theory at the moment. But if it's true, the fact that he would be trying to collect the relics to destroy the world, basically, that's bad. That's pretty bad. That means, one, he's given up, and two, he wants to destroy the world and everyone in it. That's bad. But, again, that's just a theory at the moment. Either way, yeah, great episode. Can't wait for next week's. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of RWBY Volume 6. Tell me what your thoughts on the aftermath of this story was and where this might be headed. I still think Maria is going to be very important to things, but I just don't know how yet. I have a few theories, but they're just theories. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears along the way, you're still standing, live, love, laugh.